Timmy Joe reviews anything.
Reviewing computer parts on YouTube.
That's fine.
Gotta be pumped on that, right, Will? Computer parts! Woo!
Oh yeah.
Gigabyte. Apparently that's my favorite computer brand. Hi there, it's Timmy Joe making videos about computers on the internet. Beautiful singer. What's up? We're back. And then the video card review. I haven't actually ever played with a 1060, the 3 or the 6 gig version. I have, a few times had a system around and played a game on one or something like that, but never built around one or built a computer or purchased one myself. And that's probably because I've been either in the super cool high end of, 980 Ti's, 1080 Ti's, 1070s, or, Titan Blacks, stuff like that. Or I'm in the super budget, low end or, retro stuff with beautiful Asus ladies on there. We gotta look at this sometime. It's a 280, no big deal. So we're back with an eBay purchase. I purchased this myself, and I'm smitten for a big, awesome reason. Mining's over, at least for now. Mining has tanked, and it has made this little beauty, really like this. It's actually like this, whoa! The PCB on it's like this big, okay? This big, and they make this little extension cooler that looks really good. I think that looks awesome. It's like a little plastic thing. Makes the GPU look bigger and more substantial than it is, because a 1060 don't gotta be too substantial. It's not a very power-hungry card. It needs one 6-pin. That's nothing. It oversees like the Dickens, and it's just an all-out fun card. I was able to get it to typically stay around 2050 megahertz with an overclock, and memory about 400 extra on the memory. So it was really doing well, and I just had a blast playing around with it because the performance was very good, even though this is the 3 gigabyte version with a little bit less CUDA cores and with a little bit less, memory and stuff like that. It didn't seem to matter. This is a 1080p 60 high settings card, and you're going to be running well over 60 frames a second. It's going to be great for some high refresh rate budget monitors. It's going to be great for, whatever. Now, is it going to, remain really, really good at those titles in the coming years? Well, the lack of VRAM, even though there is 3 gigabytes, is going to affect it eventually. But right now, it's a smoking deal. It's a smoking deal. So, I don't have the computer set up with the game. I could say I haven't jiggled the card around or whatever in my hands in a while. I usually have the system running like Firestrike, but I did run all sorts of crazy benchmarks, like 11 games. So stick around, there will be that in just a second. So I picked this up on eBay, mostly because I wanted to pair it with a build that I'm going to be selling eventually, and it's going to be doing pretty good, So what do we got here for specifications? Well, there we go, haha, Gigabyte website, Winforce, OC3. So there are versions of this that are a lot smaller with one fan. Is it worth it getting, one with a little bit bigger cooler on it? Sure, it doesn't hurt, because this has the Winforce 2 fans, and it's, it wasn't terribly hot or anything like that, but I think if you had just the one fan in one of those really small card configurations, might be a little bit of a different story. It might be harder to get the higher overclocks, but it's not like the cooler on this one is amazing. It's got one little heat pipe running through it. Like I say, it's only a 6-pin, so it's not a big deal. It's the Winforce edition. Really nice GPU. I just really like this back here. How this is, they made this look awesome for the price point and what have you. So, what are we doing here? Well, there's my Firestrike result. Boom. 12,668. Yeah, and it's got a graphics score of 13, almost 14,000, 13,948. Not bad at all. So, comparing this, I have a lot of experience with RX 480s and 580s. I like this better, even though it's a 3 gigabyte version. I like it better. I've had 4 gigabyte RX 480s and 8 gigabyte. there's no difference with the memory on those really, and maybe the way the chips are binned or whatever. But if we see, here's an RX 580 with the exact same setup, and it's getting a 15,363, and that's an 8GB version. And MSI Twin Froze are like the best RX 580 you can really buy. And it didn't. It still had an 8-pin, so it wasn't terribly more power hungry. It would be a little bit though. But if we see here, there we go. There's a 970. It kicks the 970's ass. 14,000 graphics score compared to 15,363 compared to 12,806. Even though it has a little bit more VRAM, a 970 is going to get beat by this. Now, keep in mind, these are all overclocked settings, and I'm, pushing 2 gigahertz with these benchmarks. So, that's there. But it impressed me because I feel like it was a better experience than the RX 580. And I went back to my review where when I did this Firestrike result, and I was comparing the frame rates, and they were just so damn similar. And considering I have a 3GB version that's, an OC model or whatever, but I'm sure it's not the greatest 1060 you can buy, and it certainly has a lack of VRAM. This was an 8GB RX 580, and I feel like they were very, very similar, and that I'm not an Nvidia fanboy. I like whatever's better, whatever feels better. This felt a little bit better than an RX 580, and the frame rates were like identical, but the 1% lows were even better in a lot of games, and they were like worse in AMD titles, of course. So what else we got here? My Titan Black I was just holding in my hand. It's basically the same performance as this. So Titan Black, this is an amazing, crazy, the best card you could buy, going back like 5 years now. But, a simple $200 video card can beat it these days. And that is pretty cool, or at least match it. And, this is, an 8 and a 6 pin. It's going to draw a lot more power. Mind you, you can't overclock them as far because it's got the reference cooler on it. But, this thing's got one heat pipe, for God's sake. So, how much did I buy it for? Well, awesome. I can't believe the prices have come down like this. I bought it for $210 Canadian with $12 shipping, or like $15 shipping maybe. So that's a really good deal, and it gets even better if you're an American apparently. So my converted what I paid for this, it was $172.61 USD, and keep in mind there was a time like 6 months ago where you couldn't buy one of these for less than $300. They were like over $300, especially new. It was ridiculous. And, even the 3GB model that wouldn't be mining very good. It's just the way the things were. Things have come down, and it's awesome for us right now. So it was worth bearing the storm because, especially with the launch of the new RTX models and stuff like that, this stuff's going to start, or stay cheap. I think it's going to be good. Although there is no 1060, variant of the RTX yet, but it'll come. So, what can you buy it on eBay for? Well, I see the same one, for $125. $125 American for this card. It gets 75 FPS on high. Gets like 100 in games like Fortnite and stuff like that. Not bad at all. We're going to see benchmarks in just a second. So, if you're looking for a GPU right now, it's not a bad time at all to buy what I think is now my favorite card. It's wonderful. I always recommend like GTX 770s and stuff like that, but those are still $100. This is gonna blow it out of the water, So let's look at some benchmarks because I love this card and I had a blast. I got some new games. I got Project Cars 2, stuff like that thrown in there. Some Final Fantasy. We'll look at the numbers and then when we come back, I'm gonna do little smash it. focus you. Boom. So, you like those benchmarks? I like those benchmarks. Those are some good benchmarks. I usually just like max the games out and see where it goes, but with this one, it was very easy to like really get it over 60 frames a second by just going with high instead of ultra high. And all it's doing is cutting down on some anti-aliasing or some effects that you're only going to be able to see with a microscope. And, you know, on high or very high instead of ultra in some of those games, it really made the difference to make this thing, like, super cost efficient for a high refresh rate monitor, like those Acer ones that are, like, you know, under $200, and they have 144 hertz at 1080p. Like, that would be a great pairing, you know. It sucks that you can't get a cheap, you know, solution for G-Sync on a cheap monitor, because this would pair really, really nicely. But, you know, is there any... I don't see any downsides. I mean, you can buy these for 150 bucks, I would say, on average on eBay right now. You know, that's unheard of. Like, 6 months ago, to find a $150 graphics card that was worth buying was very hard. Now, this all day long. I can't, you know, and if you like RX 580s, sure, that's great. If you like RX 570s, maybe you could even overclock it to close to the performance of this. But with how readily available these are, the fact that they're still on sale, the fact that it looks really nice, and you know, there's just it's an all-out. It's a really quiet, small card that's not gonna heat up your system and stuff like that. I can't recommend it enough. So I'm out watching me, Joe, Instagram and Twitter. I'd say the only problem game is still Final Fantasy. It's just all over the map, even though it is an Nvidia-based title. It's a console port. Couldn't get 60 frames a second on high on that one. But it played very well and played a lot better than a lot of the AMD cards that I've played it on. So, you know, that's there. But I'm at Watch Jimmy Joe, Instagram and Twitter. And if you like video cards, this is one that you should look out for, because they're probably going to stay around $150 used, the 3GB variant. And unless you're, you know, really worried about future-proofness, getting a 6GB version, I don't know if it'll be worth it, because the 3GB version, it performs very well. Not that I have a 6GB version to compare it to. And sure, that would ensure a little bit of future compatibility. But this right now, I mean, it's much better than buying a new 1050 Ti or 1050. That is for sure. The fact that there are a lot of these available for sale right now on eBay, and they're, you know, sub $150 price. That's awesome. So I'll see you guys in another video. 1060 for the win. But it's a Gigabyte, so it's not for the win, but for the win. Anyways, I love you guys. If you want to donate to the channel, you could do me at timmyjoe.com. If you have old CPUs, old GPUs, or maybe something that's broken that you want to see if I can fix, or something weird, I'd love to see it up. Also, if you're going to buy one of these, I'll put links for Amazon below if you're looking to buy new, you know, latest prices, whatever. But as far as a GPU, like, I'm going to pick one of these up for my Media Center PC at home, because why the hell not? For that kind of price, it's totally worth it, and that way I can play games at 60 frames a second on my 1080p TV. It'll be so good. So have a great weekend, guys. Don't die.
Try not to die.
Exactly.
And I'll see you guys later. Try not to die. Woo!